meditations, analytical meditations, uh, in relation to seeing the spiritual teachers as the Buddha, as is explained in the lamrims. So we went to the three main points of that. We went to the first point where Vajradhara, the Buddha himself, has said in many sutras and other teachings that he will come in the futures, in degeneration time, especially in degeneration time, he will come as a as a spiritual guide, spiritual teachers. That is one point we went through. And second point, how sentient beings, ordinary sentient beings, received the Buddha's enlightened activities through the spiritual teachers by relying on that spiritual teachers. And therefore, the spiritual teachers whom the Buddha rely on in order to pass their activities cannot be ordinary beings. Therefore, they must be also enlightened Buddha himself, but in a more ordinary form, in ordinary form, in ordinary aspect. And when we talk about ordinary form, we are not talking about physical ordinary form, but ordinary form in the way they appear to us is more like ordinary peoples, ordinary beings who seem to have shortcomings, faults, So we are not talking about the appearance, physical appearance. We're talking about the appearance as a being, And then the third point of meditation that we spoke about is, all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and especially Buddhas who have achieved fully enlightenment, and the Bodhisattvas who are on the path after generating bodhicitta to help and benefit sentient beings, meditating that they must be also helping and benefiting me, and how they help and benefit me and sentient beings is through the teachings by showing the path. And if we analyze and check who is doing that in my life, then it's our spiritual teachers. And so if that one is not the Buddha, then it becomes there is no Buddha who is trying to help me. The only persons who is trying to lead me in my path, show me the path in my spiritual path to achieve enlightenment and to overcome the delusion is my spiritual guide or teacher. If that isn't the Buddha, then is there no Buddha who is trying to help me? Then that seems like there is no Buddha who is trying to help me. If there is Buddha who is trying to help me, the way they help us, as I quote from one of the sutta, the Buddha himself said, the way I help is by showing the path, showing the way how to free yourself from the delusions and the samsara. That's how I can help you. Not other, So yeah. And so if we check, then who is doing that? Then it is our spiritual guide, the teacher. If that is not case, then you cannot find, And the fourth point of meditations is then, if that person is Buddha, isn't Buddha perfect? Isn't Buddha supposed to be perfect, faultless? How come these spiritual teachers or the spiritual guide, he or she seems not perfect. He or she seems to have a lot of faults, mistakes. Isn't there contradictions? If how can if someone's Buddha, how can he or she be imperfect? How or he can have a fault and mistake? So that kind of thought can arise in our mind. And so to counter that kind of thoughts, then this fourth point of meditation is then, meditating how appearance are not always accurate. How appearance to us are not always accurate. Something that appear as fault are not always necessarily fault from their side. Something that appear imperfect from their side are not necessarily imperfect from their side. Something that appear as a mistake from their side are not always necessarily mistake from their side. And that experience, we have experienced so many times in our already life, many times in different areas. There are times when we misunderstood someone and we thought it was their fault, mistake. Later we found it wasn't the mistake. It wasn't the fault. Either we were misinformed. Sometimes it was misinformed. Sometimes we didn't understand the whole pictures. Sometimes we were in different state of mind at that time. And so this is something that we experience our everyday life very often. Things that seem so real and true and or unreal or untrue in that moment, later we found out they're true. Something which seemed untrue, later we found out they're true. So those are, we have experienced those kind of mistaken appearances all the time, all the time. So through meditating, just because it appears something as a mistake, fault, it doesn't always mean it's always from that side, Maybe it is just due to my mind, due to my karma, due to many other conditions that why I'm seeing things differently, the way I'm seeing. It might be influenced by my environment. It could be influenced by my thinkings or my state of mind, So through such different meditations, contemplations, to come to understand conclusion that when there is appearance of something as imperfect with a fault, mistake, that is not necessarily always true. That is not necessarily always the case from their side. That is how it is. It could be many, it might not be that way, And again, especially nowadays in these social medias, so many people believe this is what happened, but when it's not, because people doesn't give the full pictures, whole context of what someone said, what someone did. They just take one clip, select it, and spread, and then everyone who saw that, oh, he said that, she said that, oh, he did that, she did that. But if you see the whole context, it's totally different context. And then people started to become judgmental and have negative thoughts and feelings about someone based on incomplete informations. Sometimes intentionally done, sometimes unintentionally done. But the point here is something you see, something you hear is not always the right. It's not always the case. It's not always the accurate, And so through that perspective, then we try to change our mind, I cannot make my mind totally, 100% sure that the mistake I see or that appear to me, the fault that I see and appear to me, it doesn't necessarily always mean it is there. It could be my mind. It could be, due to our karma, we see it differently. Yeah, just same persons. Some people connect with that person and they find that person so really, so kind, so compassionate. And other person find that same person, totally different totally different persons. It's the same persons, but somehow there's some energies that create different, two energy coming in different ways. And it create different kind of relationship or different feelings. It's not that person is behaving differently. This one is different. It's the same person. Who he is, that is. But some people really connect with that, and they really like that. They really like that person's attitude or characteristics or whatever that is. Some people say, "Oh, this person is really good. He's very direct. There's no playing games. Very direct. He says, do what he comes in their mind." Some people, that person's is so rude, ununderstanding. Feel like that person doesn't care about others' person's feelings. He or she say what he or she feel. So for same person's behavior or actions, two different people feel very differently. One see it as a fault, one see it as a good qualities. Isn't it? One person sees good quality because this person is not hypocritic, not doing something back and saying something front. Saying whatever they come in their thought, mind, they just say it. Whether it hurts or not, they say it. Some people find that very direct and good. You are not hiding anything. You are not trying to pretend anything. For some people, they find very rude. They find that you don't have concern and feeling for others, how they feel, by saying that, even is true, you should be more diplomatic or more careful or more all of that. So you see, it's the same person, but different people respond different. They feel differently. One person see as fault, one person see as a good quality. So what is that? So it depends on the persons, their mind, their interpretations, also themselves, maybe, If you yourself is more direct persons, maybe you connect more with that kind of character, And if you are someone who feel like, even that is how you feel it, but you shouldn't say it, maybe they see they connect less, their difficulties. So again, so like that, if we analyze it in that way, what is fault? What is mistake? What is imperfections? It depends so much on our cultures, our upbringings, our environment, the way we think. In certain culture is a mistake, and its culture is supposed to call it this. In certain culture, which is disrespectful, in certain culture is respectful. In certain culture, which is respectful, certain culture it becomes disrespectful. So if we try to understand all of that more broader that way, then we cannot feel 100% certain, sure what I feel, what I believe, what I see is true or not. I could be mistaken. Even I feel that way, I could be mistaken. Even I see that way, I could be mistaken. Even there's that appearance, I could be mistaken. Through that understanding, of that, then, whatever appearance or feeling that I have about something as a fault, imperfection, that could be also misperceptions, misled, not accurate, not truth. So through such meditation, then we don't allow ourselves to believe that is true based on just because there is that appearance, and that is how I see, that is how I feel it. And so therefore, we cannot kind of say that person is not enlightened at all just because of their certain appearance of seeming like, unenlightened, seeming like full of mistakes, seeming like full of faults. And if we, read the stories of many of the great spiritual masters in every spiritual path, many of them were very not abnormal. They acted like crazy persons, full of faults. That is why they didn't fit in normal world. And you see that in that in every spiritual path. It's not just one spiritual path, in every spiritual path. At that time, and at many of people at that time and their time, they thought these persons were crazy. They have no idea that those are enlightened beings. It seems they were better unenlightened. Not only unenlightened, they was the most worst of the society. They were looked down upon. They were treated badly. So that is how the appearance. So, but in reality, they were enlightened. In reality, if they are not fully enlightened, many of them were much more enlightened than the rest of the ordinary beings and societies. But the ordinary beings and society look them as unenlightened. And so therefore, we cannot 100% can say that, someone is unenlightened based on certain appearance. So through such meditation, reflection, contemplation, analytical meditation, then we try to develop a sense of, holding, the spiritual teacher, the spiritual guide as a enlightened, as a Buddha, So then the question arises, I think yesterday we asked, related to the yesterday question, if your spiritual teacher's guide, whom you try to see as Buddha, if he or she is fully enlightened Buddha, and if the object of our faith, respect, object of our trust, can I trust and follow blindly? Can I trust and follow blindly without any cautions? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If he or she, even they are fully enlightened, if they are object of total blind trust, where you don't caution, whether you don't ask, where you can totally, then it means they are not showing the ordinary aspect, because they are showing the aspect of perfect. If they are showing the aspect of perfect, then that is not showing the ordinary of. And since they are showing the aspect in the form of ordinary, then we should, even they are enlightened, we should caution, we should investigate, analyze, and not follow everything blindly. And there shouldn't be any contradiction to see someone as a Buddha, fully enlightened, at the same time to be able to caution and to be able to, not follow blindly everything that they say and do, In the Lojong teachings, there are some in Lojong, there is training, to see your enemy as your spiritual guru, someone you regard highly, respect, appreciate. Because if we are able to do that, then our mind doesn't get disturbed. If we cannot see that, then when you see, only the negative side, then our mind gets disturbed, upset and angry and all those different. And then, your mind is agitated, disturbed in that. So in order to not to feel agitated and disturbed, instead, maybe even feel compassion for them, then we try to see the positive side. They are teachers because it gives us opportunity to practice patience. It gives us opportunity to practice and make progress in the path. By looking from that perspective, then we begin to appreciate, and thereby our mind get disturbed. At the same time, why through such training, we don't allow our mind to be disturbed and agitated and angry and upset. At the same time, because their actions is hurting and harming others, we take action to stop such actions because it's harmful actions. Do you get it? Because you don't have any bad feelings. You appreciate them as like root guru. Hold them very highly, greatly. But at the same time, because such action could hurt and harm someone, therefore you take action to stop such harmful actions without feeling negative, without having negative thoughts. Isn't it? Same, we apply here, same. We don't allow our mind to get negative because we see or the appearance is something false, mistake, or something imperfect in terms of that, by seeing them as the Buddha, not allowing those negative feelings to arise. At the same time, if those actions can be harmful, then we try to take actions so that harmful actions does not hurt and harm others. So therefore, while having that positive thoughts and not have negative thoughts, at the same time to protect yourself, protect others from any kind of misuse of power or abuse or whatever, if it happens, there shouldn't be any kind of contradictions. Do you get it? The actions and the thoughts, the mind. The actions is that you have to take actions to protect whoever is need to protect it from such misuse, abuse, whatever that. But in terms of mind, you don't have negative thoughts, negative feelings. In terms of mind, you don't have those bad feelings, negative feelings. And I think that is those are the important point to kind of, because sometimes we tend to go in too extreme. Either we try to see them good and has positive thoughts, and then because of that, we allow them to do even his harmful actions, allow them to do and see it's okay. We don't try to protect from such harmful actions and behavior sometimes because we see them very highly, because we regard them very highly. Do you get it? Because we have such respect, because we hold them very highly, regard them very highly. So therefore, even when they engage in the harmful actions, behavior, we don't try to stop. We don't try to protect. And it doesn't only happen with spiritual guru or teachers, it happens in other things, in other areas too, that kind of behavior or actions. On the other hand, when we see or when we feel or when there's appearance of something harmful, something negative, something false, based on that, then we started to have not only, then we started to have all negative thoughts about that person's, Then we try to paint that person's as totally black, when in reality, it could be gray, or it could even be sometimes white. But based on that certain behavior actions, on the basis of that in our mind, then we started to create total negative image of that person's. Everything they do, everything they have done, we try to see them as something bad, negative. Even the good thing they have done, we try to see bad. We try to say, oh, that one, he didn't do out of compassion. There is something behind that. This, all of that, Our mind seems to get kind of too extreme, and not finding that balance, the middle, which Buddha always speak of in everything, finding the middle way, the balance. And the balance here, while you have that thought of seeing someone as the enlightened beings and that, at the same time, if you see or find those actions can be harmful, you have to protect from such harmful actions without feeling so negative and upset and angry and all of that, and all those different negative feelings, thoughts. So, I don't see there is a contradiction in that two things. Just like we do same in Lojong, similarly, And as far as, where you do not need to, because you have taken someone as your spiritual guide and spiritual, masters, teachers, guru, it doesn't mean that you have to follow everything they say blindly, Even in Sutra, Vinaya Sutras, Buddha said, if your teachers say something that is contradiction to the principal teachings of the Buddha or the principal teachings of the Dharma, you shouldn't follow it. You don't have to follow it. Even your teachers, even your guru said that. If what they are saying is contradiction to the principal teachings, then, you don't need to take it literally and follow it, And also in one of the Mahayana Sutras, also similar. If your teachers say you to do something that is that concords the general teachings of the general teachings, then or according to the Dharma, according to the teachings, you follow it. If but advice, instructions, is giving something that is not according to the teachings, according to Dharma, then again, you don't have to follow it. Even in Vajrayana Tantra, one of the earliest sources of teaching on Guru devotions is by one Indian masters. Of course, you can go and find in certain sutta here, there a little bit, but like compile, Lama Tsongkhapa, it means 50 verses of how to rely on gurus. And there is and that is where a lot of those, teachings is kind of rooted in. And even in that, it says, if your teacher asks you to do something that you cannot, try to explain it. So again, what it says is you don't have to follow it blindly and say, okay, even when you feel you cannot do it. You should be able to explain why you are unable to do it. If your teachers ask you to do something that you feel is something that you cannot take on, something you cannot manage, something you cannot do, then it's okay. And my observation is, I guess because maybe Dharma is still quite new in this culture, this part of the culture, because it's still quite new. It hasn't been so many years, not even 1 decade, centuries, So I guess maybe sometime I feel here, sometimes I observe people, their guru ask them to do something, and maybe they feel they cannot do it, but they cannot say no. And since they cannot explain or say no, and then, there's a burden, sense of burden. And that kind of feeling and burden can become unhelpful and unhealthy later. Then you can start to have bitter feelings, resentment and anger feelings later, because it's something you feel you cannot take on, but at the same time, you cannot say no because you feel like your guru asked you to do. Do you get it? So you are not ready to take it. You don't feel you are ready to take it. Whether it's a practice, whether it's another service, whatever that is. You feel like you are not ready. You feel like you don't, have whatever. But you feel like, I can't say no. I have to do it. And I have seen with that kind of attitude, when someone engage in that in long term, sometimes I've turned them become very unhealthy and unpositive. Then people, after some time, then they feel like they have been abused, misused, Oh, the guru or the organization abused me. They didn't pay me, and they give me all this job. I did all this job, and they didn't pay me, and they abused me, and all these kind of things started to come. They took advantage of me, and all this. Now, now service has turned into something very bitter, resentment, anger, all these things. I've seen that. Now they started to interpret negatively, But as in this Lama Tsongkhapa, as that scripture says, if you cannot do it, if you are unable to take it for whatever reason, whether it's the practice, whether it's the service, whatever, if you explain, the teacher wouldn't mind. If it is an authentic, qualified teacher, they wouldn't mind. They will understand, And in that way, you have better relationship, healthy relationship, better relationship. Being more honest, I feel those are important to have more healthy, more better, healthy relationship between guru and disciples, so that there is not so much, unrealistic expectations and all those things, I think from both sides, and being more honest and to be able to share and explain can be more healthy, Otherwise, if things goes wrong, if things doesn't go well, then there is kind of danger for your mind to get negative and then, blame everything to your spiritual teachers, which is not healthy and good, And even in terms of practice, when you don't feel you are ready, I'm not the best student, you know. So, there are times when I have to say to my teachers, and, I can share, one time, one of my main teachers, or some of you have met, um, the previous Ganden Lha the leader of the Gelug lineage. Lots of things, one day I went to Dharamsala for teachings, His Holiness teachings, for 2 weeks. So after His Holiness teaching, he was going to give a very special commentary and initiations on Chakra Sambhara, and very rare one, and also that in his palace for a very small selected group of people, not for everyone. And a lot of lamas, geshes from all over the world came for that, because it's one very rare, that teachings. And then His Holiness Dalai Lama giving, and in a very selected group, in small group, in his own palace instead of the main temple, So my teacher has also come for that, But I didn't feel that I was ready for that, I didn't feel that I was ready. As also there was commitments, and quite a bit of long sadhanas. And, so I went and paid respect to my teacher and saying, now I'm going to Sera. And said, are you not staying for this initiation and commentary? And I said, no. And he said, how come, everyone's coming for that. People coming from all over the world, from overseas, for that you are already here, and how you have such a great opportunity, and how can you miss that opportunity? And I said, I don't feel I'm ready for that. I don't feel I'm ready for that at the moment. I don't feel I can keep those commitments every day with all other commitments that I already have. And, my teachers try to, encourage me to take, because it's such a precious opportunity. But again, I know I felt I wasn't ready, and I felt I couldn't keep those commitments, basically. And then my teacher understood, and he said, okay. Just so he gave me permissions, okay, for not to take it. And, that didn't create distance in our relationship, me as a student and him as a teacher, he didn't feel that I didn't obey or listen to his advice or whatever. He was very understanding, kind, compassionate. Even more kind, compassions after that. I wanted to suddenly retreat after I graduated, and I wasn't sure whether I had those initiation, even though, because I don't keep those lists, and because we have taken so many, like Avalogishoras, I wanted to retreat on Avalokiteshvara Manjushri. but I wasn't sure because, so I request him for empowerment because I want to do the retreat, and he gave the empowerment. And then he said, you don't like, maybe likes the not exact word, but like something like, you don't like the commitments. So you have no commitments. Mm. But when there's no commitment, then I continue to do every day. But I received the empowerments. First I did with Avalokiteshvara, then I do with Manjushri and that. And again, he was very kind, compassion to give empowerment just by myself. I told him that maybe I can invite some other student, but he said, no, just don't say anything. And then, as I said, not that he offered that, and always, very kind to offer, whether it's empowerment, whether it's oral transmissions, uh, you know, and so what I'm trying to say is, to be able to communicate and to say when you cannot, and there's no. If I feel at that point I'm not ready, but I couldn't say no to my teachers, I've taken it. Maybe I couldn't keep commitment. Maybe I might started to say, I wasn't ready, but you asked me to do that, and then now I'm breaking all. Even I don't say it in your mind, you could feel that way, negative way, And same, Lama Rinpoche knows. Uh, um, there again, certain time, um, when I've offered service, and there are times when I feel like I needed a break, and when Rinpoche asked me to do, and I have to respectfully, kindly explain, I'm not ready to do that now, um, and explaining all the reasonings, everything's, and he totally understood, very kind, compassionate, understood, and was totally okay. His compassion, his care, love didn't become less because of that, Mm, yeah. And sometimes that could change, also. One time Rinpoche asked me, Rinpoche didn't ask me directly, but he sent me an email through Venerable Roger, if I would consider going to the California, because they were having a difficulty finding teacher there. And Rinpoche said, there are 4 centers that could be helpful. And then, I reply again to Roger, that giving some update and on the conditions of the center here, the potential as well as present conditions. And then, yeah, I mean, I mentioned, I mentioned even when Rinpoche was here too, there is a potential for this center to grow and be benefit. At the same time, financially, they were not strong at that time. Even to rent a house for a resident teacher at that time, the resident teacher was living with different members over. I was saying, I changed 7 places in 10 years, during that times. And there is no way the center can afford to have Geshe and a translator. Financially, I knew that center was still growing small. Whereas the center in California, they already had Geshe and translator even in the past, even with one centers. So with their center, they have this financial ability to invite a Geshe and also have a translator and all of that. So I replied that, all of that. But if Rinpoche still feel it is most beneficial for me to go, I will go. But I want to explain, give little update. And then next email I got, Roger says, Rinpoche did more observations, definitions, and say, you can stay there. So again, what I'm saying is, if you feel something you are not ready, then to be able to discuss more clearly, and we can't kind of take for granted that, I don't need to explain, they know everything. They know everything. I know with Rinpoche also, maybe I think His Holiness as well, there more this definition changes according to what kind of information they get before they check it, how much information they are provided or not provided, that could also change. If you provide a very small information, not a complete information, the more could can different. If you provide more information completely, the more can come, the observation definitions can come differently. That I've seen that. And so therefore, that is one thing, yeah. As His Holiness the Lama says, even he is known, all-knowing Avalokiteshvara, Cherry6, his teacher, Ling Rinpoche, whom he has very strong connections, say, he had a whip, special whip for Dalai Lamas. So his teacher didn't teach him that you are all-knowing. I don't need to teach you. You know everything. You are Cherry6, you know everything. Even when he needed to use it, probably he didn't use much. His Holiness didn't seem to indicate he did use it much, but he said there was 2 whips, one with kind of golden yellow for Dalai Lama, and one with for his brother. His brother was also Rinpoche, So His Holiness, as a young boy, just when he see the whip, it make them behave well, They don't have to use it, just showing there, having that. And whereas I see, because in this part of the world, because this is still new, people treat even very young reincarnation as knowing everything, and they spoil them. They spoil them. They act that they are all knowing, they are everything. So, So that is where coming to to be able to, explain when you have been asked to do something, whether it's a practice related, when you feel you are not ready, and then to be able to explain and communicate directly and more, so there is no kind of misunderstanding, and that kind of interactions is much more healthier and better. Another time, I don't ask so much practice Rinpoche because I know he could give so much numbers because I've seen with students, and I wasn't sure whether if I ask, I have to do no matter what, So I was always a little bit kind of scared to ask, to Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche. But when after I served in FMD in Taos for 2.5 years, I asked Rinpoche if I could go back to Nepal to do some retreat, and Rinpoche was supportive and supported that, and he says, very good, very good, supported and give me permission to go. And then, of course, even though I didn't ask Rinpoche, I started giving meditations, many practices, So, of course, I wrote down all of them, all the advice, all the different practice, and all the advices, how to do the practice, everything. But of course, because since Rinpoche gave me, even though I didn't ask, I still feel like I will do them. And one of those practice, among many practices, was, recitation of Diamond Kata Sutra, 10,000. One of the practices he gave me. And I've read it when I was very young. Like in our village, people invite monks to read. It's kind of pujas. Not exactly puja, but is for them to create marriage, and for mostly to create marriage, they invite monks to read, those sutras. And in that, I have probably read a couple of times. So I started read it, and I was timing it. 45 minutes it took me. You can see how bad I am. Then I calculated. Then, to finish 10,000, even I do 5 hours every day. Just this one is going to take me 3 years. So when Rinpoche was in Sera one time, I asked him through one of the attendants. This was one of the practice Rinpoche gave me. And I said, it will take me 3 years just to finish this one. Is it possible for me to sponsor this at the monastery nunnery? And then I do a little bit, some part of it, but some, and then the advice, the answer I got was, Rinpoche, the attendant Rinpoche is laughing a lot. And then Rinpoche said, no, you should do yourself. But you don't have to think that you need to do that immediately now. He said you can do over the years. So anyway, so I'm always fighting with my teachers. But also because of that, maybe, my relation with them is better because they understand me, I understand, and there is better communications. And as I mentioned before, just because you couldn't blindly, because you didn't blindly follow their advice, that didn't took away their love, their compassion, their care. As I mentioned, they even show more compassion because they saw this student needs more compassion. They saw these students, they're too fragile. These students too fragile and ready to break down. And so then he need to be more kind, more compassion, you know. Whereas if I pretend I'm strong, I can take everything that maybe they think, oh, he's a strong guy. He can take everything. And when you cannot take everything, you know. So anyway, just sharing. Because that is one thing I've been observing. And student having this fear of being able to communicate in that way, when they have been asked to do something, when they feel they are not ready, but not being able to communicate and explain clearly. And then in some cases, it turns into something more unhealthy and negative. Mm. So that is why if you can see as a Buddha, that is wonderful. But even you cannot see as a Buddha, at least the spiritual, the guru, the spiritual guide, you try to focus on their positive qualities. You try to focus on their positive qualities and not focus on their shortcoming, their negative, their shortcoming, their faults. And if you focus on the positive qualities, then and if you don't focus on the negative qualities or the fault or the shortcomings, then again, it will not give space to have too much negative thoughts. And if you don't have too much negative thought, then you can develop able to develop more trust, more faith. And if you're able to develop more trust and more faith, you become more receptive and more open your mind. And if your mind is more receptive and more open, you are able to receive more. That's the whole point. When we meditate practice, it's like, if the ground is like a concrete, no matter how much you water, it will not grow. the ground need to be receptive of that, good ground that is able to receive that fertilizer, water, whatever conditions. So when it's more receptive, then it is able to give rise to all those plants, the growth of the plant. And so spiritual growth of the plant need to be a receptive, good, solid ground. And that comes when your mind becomes more open, more receptive, more gentle, more soft, And those, for such as, having a more trust, having a more faith and so forth, help us to create that kind of more soft, more receptive mind. On the basis of that, then when we do meditation practice, then it becomes more effective to have the growth of the spiritual experience and realizations, and so that is the main key point here, otherwise, the ground is not soft and is so hard, full of rockies and almost like, concrete, and then no matter how many water no matter how much seed you put, it's hard to see the growth of the plant. Because ground is not suitable. The ground is not suitable. It's not soft enough, not suitable, not ready, not ripened, not receptive. And so that is the why, as Lama Tsongkhapa explained in Lamrim Chemo, and as well as His Holiness Lama explains, we train our mind to see even those faults, even those weakness into positive, something in positive, that you train to change it to create more trust and more faith instead of more doubt and more bad feelings, instead to train yourself to turn it that more in that. And again, that is possible, it's always is from what perspective you look at it, just like in Lojong training. If you look from one perspective, you might see it as something false, negative. But if you try to see from different perspective, you might find it as something beneficial, helpful. I think I might have shared that, before. I don't know whether I've shared. One of my teachers was very, very tight with the money, and he's very tight with the money. At the very beginning, me and some other students might have thought, so it looked more like a negative. It seemed like it's being more tight. But to realize later that, he's so careful about money and save all money, and then to support the monasteries and the monks, all he spent that before he passed away, some years before he passed away, all that he saved to sponsor a Kala Chakra by His Holiness in Amarwati, made a long life offer a long life puja to His Holiness. Then he make offerings to all the big monasteries, everything. So again, at the very beginning, where we felt something as a false shortcoming, being is kind of too tight, or feel like not too generous in a way, but actually it is to practice generosity, and he has planned to do all of that. And so again, even though he could have used for his own enjoyment, he never used that, and for higher purpose in that way. So again, something like that, there are so many things in that at some time we might see them as a shortcoming, but actually they're not shortcoming. There's much more higher meaning in that, and it is about higher purpose, much more greater purpose that sometimes we cannot see it, and through that, using all these kind of investigation, analyzing, so we try to keep more positive thoughts, have a more positive thought, and focus on the more positive quality, not the negative qualities. So yeah, I think another things I might want to share is the reason why also I say why we cannot just kind of blindly follow everything a guru teacher says. Like sometimes I have many teachers, and sometimes they have different approach, and someone says something and someone says, to whom I follow? There's no way I can follow both of them, literally. And they both are equally compassion, they're both equally same for me. I regard them both equally. They both are my root gurus. So then what you do? So then you have to use your own reasoning, logics, which approach is more suitable for you, based on that, you try to follow that. Even in the way we teach, also some of my teachers have a different approach. One of teachers want you to teach exactly as it is in the text, like lamrim and all others. Other teachers advise not to do that, because the disciples are not same. They are not same like in Tibet or other places. So the presentation should be different. And like His Holiness Dalai Lama gives so much advice all the time. The presentations, something that is in Tibet, the lamrim, when Adisha gave the lamb of the path and then the lamrims later, it was teaching giving base on the disciples, the students, the audience. They already believe in reincarnation. They already have belief in karma. They already have belief in all of that. They were already following the Vajrayana path. On the basis of that, those teachings were given to such disciples who already have those foundations. Someone who is going to follow the Vajrayana, who is following Vajrayana, and then who already have those understanding and belief. So then that kind of presentation is suitable for them, is okay. But someone who doesn't have that same understanding, who still need to be convinced or have understanding of karma, reincarnation, and many other subjects, and still maybe not inclined at the moment or not ready for Vajrayana teaching, then some of those teaching presentations should be different then. And His Holiness always says that we should start with the middle scope, presenting the Four Noble Truths first, thereby doing the introductions of the Buddhism from that perspective, Four Noble Truth, Buddha nature. And from there, then again then you can present other subjects. So again, that is His Holiness approach of presentations. And so again, even among my teachers, different teachers have different approach in terms of practice, in terms of presentations, in terms of that. And so if you have to follow blindly everything they say, then you will find contradiction there. You will find contradiction there. But in such cases, then you use your own wisdom. You are presented with two different approaches, and then you see which approach is more suitable, and based on that, you try to follow that approach while still having the respect and regard and the faith and everything, and so again, that doesn't take away your ability to do use your own reasoning, logic, your own wisdom. Because one of the fears a lot of people seem to have, then you don't have the ability to your own wisdom, your own reasoning, logics, because it feels like that you have to follow whatever you are asked to do, and that is the only way. And that is again kind of a little bit of kind of misunderstandings, Yeah. So as to be able to see someone as more enlightened, even as a Buddha, but to be able to again using your own reasoning, logics, and to use that, then one of the things you need to study enough. If you don't study enough, you cannot make those judgments. Which is more suitable? Which is more suitable? How can you make judgments? But if you have studied enough, then you see both presentation, both approach, and based on those approach, both of them following the Buddha's teachings, accurate Buddha's teachings, but it's just a different approach. And so then you might be able to see which approach is more suitable and then follow that, So yeah, that's all. Sanjo Samjo Rinpoche, Magye Pana Gekyo Che, Gyawa Nyamba Meba Yang, Kong Tu Pewa Sho. Okay, I think we have a little break. So we will start with the practice now. Again, try to make yourself relaxed, comfortable. And again, keep your back straight. And watch your breath mindfully. Then we can think that I'm going to do this practice so that I can create cause and conditions to develop all the spiritual realization and experiences. especially, the spiritual realization of correctly rely on spiritual teacher, and thereby achieving fully awakened state soon, so we can help and benefit each and every sentient beings without any limitations according to their needs. And we can think all sentient beings surrounding us together, engage in practice. You can also visualize your root guru in the form of Buddha Shakyamuni, who also encompasses all the Buddhas, Dharma, Sangha, all in one. So then we go for refuge. Start with the refuge, page number 3. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment through the merit of practice and generosity and so on. May I attain the Buddhahood to benefit transmigrated beings. Sangye chodam soge chonam la chanchu patu dane kyatso che dagi jin soge ve sonam ge yola penje sangye dubai sho Sangye chodam soge chonam la chanchu patu dane kyatso che dagi jin soge ve sonam ge yola penje sangye dubai. For immiscible, may all sentient beings have happiness and causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from happiness that knows no suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment, hatred for those held close and distant. And so again, I think you have the picture of that. Those who doesn't know what Lama Tsongkhapa and Thubten look like when we visualize in front of you, so you can use that image in front of you. Page number 6. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deity of Tushita, on the peak of a cloud resembling clouds of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dharma, omniscient Losantapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on the lion throne, lotus and moon, may the perfect pure Guru smile with delight as a supreme field of merit for my mind of faith. Please abide for the hundreds of eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind has intelligence that understands the full extent of object be none. Your holy speech with the excellent explanation is the ornament for the ears of those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiant, beautiful, glory, renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking waters, various flowers, fragrant incense, light, water, and so forth. Ocean of clouds like offering, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtues of body, speech, and mind I have collected from beginningless time, especially those opposite to the three vows, I confess each and every one from my heart with a fervent regret. You strive to accomplish much healing in this degenerate age and made your freedom and richness meaningful by abandoning the eight worldly concerns. Savior, you sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion, in the sky of Dhammakaya, please let the fall of rain, profound and extensive Dhamma, abound the earth of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtues I've collected benefit the teaching and transmigrated beings, and may it especially cause the essence of perfect, pure Losantapa teaching to shine forever. Sa shi pe ge chung shi me to da re ra le chi ni de gen ba sang ge shi mi de wu wai do kun nama da shin je pa sho. May I and all sentient beings meet the teaching of the victorious one, Losantapa, who lived an immanent life, endowed with pure moral, a brave heart in doing the bodhisattva extensive deeds, and yoga of the two stages, the supreme standard wisdom of non-dualism and emptiness. Idam Guru Rana Mandala Yami. So then you try to visualize Lama Tsongkhapa and his two spiritual sons as we have involved from the Tushidas, just try to visualize in front of you as clearly as possible. And try to feel present of them. And again, white Om syllable or letter on the crown, red R syllable on the throat, blue Hung syllable on the heart of each of them, all the Buddhas, which represents the three Vasara body, Vasara speech, Vasara mind of the Buddhas. And then make a strong request, to bless us, to inspire us, to guide us, to clear and purify all the illness, all the negative karma, all the delusion, all the obscuration. Especially all the obscurations to see the spiritual guide as the fully awakened, fully enlightened. All those obstacles being completely cleansed, purified. Okay, so then visualizing cleansing away impurity. By the force of my having fervently requested this way, from the heart of the three, the perfect, pure Father and Son, below beams of white light emanate and combining into one, enter my crown. White nectar, color of milk, flow from the opening of the tube of the white light, cleansing away all my sickness, fear, negative karma, obscuration, their imprint, without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. So before we do the mixema, visualize from the heart of Lama Tsongkhapa, comes or manifests your root guru in ordinary form, just in front of Lama Tsongkhapa. So as we recite the Mixema, those three nectars and light from the three color of nectar and light from all three letters flow in the form of light, nectar, and enter oneself, all sentient beings, and cleansing, purifying all the illness, all the negative karma, all the delusion, obscurations, especially the obscuration to be able to see all our gurus as a fully enlightened one. And the obscuration to have true spiritual realizations of Guru devotions, being completely cleansed, purified. Okay, with that, we recite Mixema, one in English and then in Tibetan. And again, as we do that, we try to see Lama Tsongkhapa is your root guru. Your root guru is Lama Tsongkhapa. They are one, inseparable, in different forms. In the same way, Lama Tsongkhapa is also a manifestation of Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion. Also, he is the manifestations of the Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. Also, he is the manifestations of Vajrapani, the Buddha of the power. All in one, all these enlightened energies, qualities in the form of Lama Tsongkhapa. In essence, they are same. It's just different manifestations, different forms. Okay, one in Tibetan, and in English. Cherishing the great treasure of non-objectifying compassions, Manjushri, master of stainless wisdom, Lord of secret, destroyer of the entire host of Mara, Tsongkhapa, crown ornament of sages of land of snow, Losang Thapa, at your holy feet, I make requests. Mingme zeve dejen jere se, time kembe ombo jambe yang, debo male shams. Kanjin kebe sungen Tsongkhapa, Losang dabe shabla soa de, Mingme zeve dejen jere se, time kembe ombo jambe yang, Ebo male chomje sanwe ta, kanjin kebe tsungen Tsongkhapa, Losang dabe shabla soa de, mingme tebe te chen jere se, time kembe ombo jambe yang, ebo male chomje sanwe ta. Kanjin kebe tsungen Tsongkhapa, Losang dabe shabla soa de, mingme tebe te chen chere se, time kembe ombo jambe yang, ebo male chomje sanwe ta, kanjin kebe tsungen Tsongkhapa, Losang dabe shabla soa de, mingme tebe te chen chere se, time kembe ombo jambe yang, ebo male chomje sanwe ta, Anjin Kebe Tsongke Tsongkhapa Lo San Tabe Shabla Sowa De Mingme Tsewe Te Chen Chere Se Time Kembe Ombo Jambe Yang Ebo Malu Jamje Sanwe Pa Kanjin Kebe Tsongke Tsongkhapa Lo san tabe shabla soa dem. So visualize total conviction, like taking a shower or flushing the toilet, with that nectars and the light completely cleanse, purify, flush, eliminate all the illness, physical, mental illness. All the negative karma, all the negative potentials. All the disturbing negative emotion, the delusions, completely being clean, purified, flushed out. All the obscurations. Of oneself and all sentient beings. Especially all the obscuration to have this spiritual experience or realizations of Guru devotions is completely cleansed, purified. All the obscuration to be able to see each and every spiritual teachers to see as a Buddha in completely cleansed, purified. Without any trace of any negativities, become like crystal clear light, not heavy. So then we can bring the image of your root guru, which we have visualized. If you don't have any root guru or guru, you can imagine, someone like Dalai Lama or Lama Tsongkhapa himself. And try to see this guru who is in ordinary form, human form, is the Buddha in actual. That had manifested in that form to guide, to lead, to help me, to free from the suffering, the samsara and the delusions. If the Buddha and Vajradhara has said in sutras and teachings, if what they say is correct, then they have said many times that in the futures, especially in degeneration times, that I will come by manifesting as the spiritual, ordinary spiritual guru in the form of If this is not the manifestation of that, then who else is there? Therefore, the Guru is that Vajradhara Buddha who manifested in this form. Also, all the Buddhas who have achieved fully enlightened, they have promised, they have generated a wish to help each and every sentient beings after they achieve enlightenment. And now they have achieved enlightenment. They must be helping me by trying to reach me out, blessing, through teaching, instructions, guidance. And the way I receive from them is through this spiritual guru. That's how I receive all their guidance, teachings, advices, blessings. And this guru from whom I receive all the Buddha's activities, help, must be the guru himself, must be the Buddha. The Buddhas will rely on someone who is enlightened to help and benefit. Does not need to rely on unenlightened beings to help and benefit us and receive their activities. Therefore, these teachers, spiritual teachers, must be and is the Buddha himself, Vajradhara himself. Also, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have generated bodhicitta, who have engaged in the Bodhisattva path and achieved the result, what they have achieved, they all did that in order to help and benefit each and every sentient being, including myself. If they are helping and benefiting me, the way they help and benefit is by showing the path. And if there is anyone who is doing that for me, is this my root guru? All these my gurus. If they are not the Buddha, then where is the Buddha who is trying to help me? Where are the Bodhisattvas who are trying to help me? If this is not the Buddha, then there is no one, no Buddha trying to help me now. Therefore, this Guru must be the Buddha who is trying to help me by showing the path, and is the Buddha who is showing the path. If there is any doubt in our mind, this is not the Buddha, because this Guru is not perfect. A lot of faults, shortcomings, mistakes. If you have any doubt because of that, then try to contemplate, meditate. Even though we see faults, shortcoming, imperfect, that doesn't necessarily means the Guru has those faults, that imperfections, those mistakes. Because we cannot rely 100% to what we see, what we experience to be true. It could be due to our own unawakened, delusional mind that we see and experience that way. Therefore, there is no doubt that this Guru is the actual manifestations of the Buddha in this ordinary form to guide us, to help us, to show us the path. So see if you can feel the Guru is the Buddha. By being able to feel the Guru being a Buddha, then try to feel the faith, the trust, the devotions. If this is not the object of faith, respect, trust, is there anyone else? Does that mean there is no Buddha at all trying to help us? Therefore, there's no doubt. This is the Buddha. And try to remember the kindness of this Guru. In terms of giving us advice, inspirations, instructions, precepts, direct oral transmissions, empowerments, commentaries, and so forth. Through the kindness of this Guru, that we are able to understand a little bit what is negative karma, what is positive karma, what we need to avoid, abandon, what we need to practice. With the kindness of this teacher, we know how to purify and not to create more negative karma. And how to create more positive karma, how to engage in both of the path, develop loving kindness, compassion, both in the mind, and so forth. And having learned a little bit from the Guru, and having practiced a little bit, that we are able to see some small changes in our life, positive changes. It's through the kindness of the Guru. Whatever small spiritual transformation we might have is through the kindness of Guru. We are not perfect, but we have made small positive changes. All this happened because of the Guru. Their teachings, guidance, advice, inspirations, examples. Try to feel the kindness of the Guru as much as possible. And try to generate strong respect by feeling that kindness. And generate strong wish to repay the kindness. And the best way to repay the kindness is really to put their advice, instruction, teaching into practice. That is the best offering. That is the best way to repay the kindness. Then the Guru dissolves into Lama Tsongkhapa again. It's the same enlightened being in two different forms at different time. As we recite a few more from the, again, three letters, the three points of the Lama Tsongkhapa and spiritual two sons. Again, more white, red, blue nectar, and light flow and enter oneself and all sentient beings, receiving all the blessings of the Guru, Lama Tsongkhapa, enlightened body, speech, and mind. All the spiritual realizations, unconditional, unlimited loving kindness, compassion, both to the mind and wisdom, realizing emptiness. And receiving especially the realizations of the Guru devotions, to be able to see and feel that our root Guru and all other Gurus as real Buddha, actual Buddha. Mingme zeve dejen chere si time kembe ombo jambe yang kebo ma le chomje sanwe ta kanjin kebe chungen chongkaba lo san tabe shabla soa te mingme zeve dejen chere si Time kembe ombo jambe yang ebo male chamje sanwe ta kanjin kebe zungen zongaba san tabe shabla sowa de mingme zebe de chen chere si time kembe ombo jambe yang Debo male chomje sanwe da kanjin kebe sungen zongkaba lo san tabe shabla sowa de. Try to imagine, visualize, and feel that we receive all these blessings of enlightened body, speech, and mind of our Guru Lama Tsongkhapa, all the spiritual realizations, all the inner positive qualities, just like themselves, all the whole lamrim spiritual realization, especially the realizations of the Guru devotions. In each part of our body, all the atoms, all the cells are made of those spiritual realization experiences. And that induce great bliss on physical level, mental level. Okay, then we go to page number 15. The request. May my wisdom of listening, reflecting, meditating increase. May my wisdom of explaining, debating, composing develop. May I be granted the supreme and common realization. Please bless me to quickly become like you. May my transcendental wisdom of simultaneously born great bliss arise. May my sin or mistakenly grasping things as real be purified. May my net of doubt that is only mine be cut. Please bless me to quickly become like you. We don't have time. And then page number 19, the request to abide. And so again, we can visualize, imagine the cushions of the two suns dissolve into the Lama Tsongkhapa cushions, throne, and two suns dissolve into the Lama Tsongkhapa. Yatsen Rinpoche on the right of Lama Tsongkhapa dissolve on the right, from the right shoulder. Kedu Rinpoche, which is on the left side of Lama Tsongkhapa, dissolve into Lama Tsongkhapa through the left shoulder. And the Lama Tsongkhapa's cushion also dissolve into Lama Tsongkhapa. And as we recite the next Lama Tsongkhapa, come from the space in front of you on the crown and turning same way like you and being on top of their crown. Okay. Magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me the realization of your holy body, speech, and mind. And then Lama Tsongkhapa enter through your crown to your heart. Magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide in the lotus and moon at my heart. Guide me to your great kindness and grant me the supreme and common realizations. Magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and remain steadfast until I attain essence of enlightenment. So then imagine, your heart lotus close and the Lama Tsongkhapa in the center of your heart lotus. And that your Guru, the deity, the Lama Tsongkhapa is always with us in our heart, no matter where we are, no matter what we do, 24 hours, always under their guidance, under their care, under their shoulder. Feel confidence in that. You are not alone. You are not by yourself alone. You are always under the guidance, care, and the wing of your root guru, who is inseparable from Lama Tsongkhapa, who is inseparable from all the cherished Manjushri Vasatana. And dedications. By the force of victorious one, Tsongkhapa, acting as my direct mind and virtuous friend in all my life, may I never turn away for even second from the pure path highly admired by the victorious one. May I be able to live a life with pure morality, listen to many teachings, train in Bodhisattva, and have pure view and conduct without corrupting the teachings of Losang Tapa, the second victorious one. Glorious Guru, whatever your holy body, retinue, lifespan, and rhymes, whatever your supreme and beneficial holy name, may I and others become exactly like that. Due to the 3 times merit collected by me, numberless Buddhas and numberless sentient beings, may I, my family members, all those sentient beings who rely upon me, all those to whom I promise to pray, all those whose names are given to me, all the students, benefactors, and volunteer PMD organizations, and all other sentient beings be able to meet the perfect qualified Maya and the virtuous saints in all our future lives. From our side, may we always see them as enlightened. May we always do holy actions most pleasing to their holy minds. And may we always fulfill their holy wishes instantly. So at the moment, yes, we'll do the rest of dedication at the end. So I will take some questions. You see the question sessions. Anyone? Yes, please.
Amanda had a question from earlier today.
Yeah, you can read.
It was, Geshe, when you were speaking about a Buddha can manifest in any form. Amanda asked, if a Buddha sometimes comes in the form of an animal, does the animal know that it is a Buddha?
You have to ask them. Maybe we can ask Osel here or someone there if they can recognize that. Or, yeah. Can you hear that? Do you see any Buddhas in your form? Yeah. Well, other animals might not be able to recognize that. Some animals, not real animals, but who are also manifestations of different bodhisattvas, Buddha, they can recognize that. But those who are ordinary animals, most of them probably might not recognize that, but they can feel the energies. They can feel with the good energies, and that energy can help them transform themselves, to feel more safe and less aggressive, to feel them, to help other animals or other beings, so they can get a lot of inspirations through the energies, even without much speakings, and they can learn a lot from another animals, and thereby, again, have some transformation of that, So, yeah.
Amanda, do you have a follow-up or is that good? Thumbs up.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Geshe, sorry for keep asking, but this one, I think, there was a section over there to dissolve. It says those who haven't received the highest yoga tantra dissolves at the forehead. Could you explain one more time that part, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I think again, there are many slightly different way of doing practice. Sometimes the Buddha, the deity, the guru, they dissolve in the light, and the light dissolves in yourself, and then you yourself, the Buddhas and the gurus, body, mind, speech become inseparable one, and you meditate on that. Oneness inseparable in that. There is some one meditations, in these meditations, we don't dissolve in the light, but actually at the very beginning, it comes first there in front of us, then it comes here and stay in front of us. Before it's facing us, now it's facing same way. And the second time it enters through the crown to the throat chakras, And the third time from chakras to the heart, from the throat chakra to the heart chakras, And then that's in the heart chakras, lotus chakra, that is where they remain all the times, And so, and then if we do a little bit more, so your heart chakras in the form of lotus, and then it kind of close. And in some, then it is kind of close and tied by mantras of Omara Basanati and Mixemas. And then on top of that, sometimes there is Basra, double Basra, So it is close in that way. But again, whether you do that or not, then we try to imagine that they are always with you, here, Lama Tsongkhapa, your root guru, is always in your heart, always with you. So again, this practice is also good when sometimes we feel kind of lonely, especially like people when their teacher pass away or when their teacher are not close by, and they might feel kind of lonely, too far away. But if someone has a good practice meditation on that, then they shouldn't feel that way. They are always with you. They are always in your heart. You should always feel present of them. You should always feel under their guidance, care, under their wings, So again, that can be helpful practice in encountering that kind of feeling that you are too far away from your gurus, your teachers, And sometimes people, even might feel like they have been abandoned, The true guru never abandons. Their physical form might not be there, their heart, their mind is always with you, always in your heart. And, when you make sincere requests in your practice meditations, sometimes people are able to get answers in different form from the gurus, so then, so again, physically we might not be close, but still, we shouldn't feel the guru is just only this physical form, So that is, I don't know whether it answer your questions or not.
So for beginners, then what do we do? We haven't received initiation.
Or even you don't receive initiations, if you have guru, then that is fine. Any gurus. If you don't have guru, then you don't have to worry about that.
Thank you.
You just visualize Lama Tsongkhapa. entering your heart, and he's always there. Or any other deity that you feel connected, But if you have a guru, it doesn't have to be someone from whom you receive. Root guru, of course, you find slightly different explanation in some teachings. In some, they regard root guru as someone whom you receive what we call kindness in giving you the precepts, different precepts, sometimes, like refuge precepts, lay vows, bodhisattva vows, and other precepts, different. And then who kindness in giving you the oral transmissions and direct transmission, commentary, and so forth. And then kindness in giving you empowerments. Sometimes those are known as the kindness, the guru of kindness in all these three. Sometimes some commentaries or in some writings, they find describing this as the root guru. Then also in some other teachings, in other masters and writings, they also said root guru doesn't have to be someone you receive as yoga tantra or empowerment or anything, but someone that you feel strong connected, that has played a big role in your transformation, your spiritual transformations. Sometimes it could be someone else, not necessarily from whom you receive the highest yoga tantra or any empowerment. It could be, teacher of lamrim or some others that, but who has been instrument in terms of transforming your attitude, your heart, transforming in your spiritual path. That is regarded as a root guru, because he or she played the most important role in inspiring, in transforming your path. And, like some of my root guru, they didn't give me any initiations, especially at the very beginning. In recent time, they have, again, I have also received some, but initially they were always one of my root gurus, but it's not that I receive empowerment from them, but they were very instrumental in my spiritual growth, in terms of my studies, in terms of, their influence in my spiritual path. They were the most instrument into directing or guiding in my spiritual path. And so for me, they are, even though some other teachers I've received initiations, oral transmission, but they might not have played same role in terms of shaping me in my spiritual path, influence in that way. So that is where that is the root guru. So that's we use the term root guru, but it could mean slightly different for different people, and also we have to remember, like many meditation practice, we start with something which is easier, and then we expand to others. Just like in meditation on compassion, loving kindness, we start with someone we can feel compassion easily. So our most dear loved one. But that is the only starting point. Then we expand that to neutral persons. Then we expand for those enemies. Then we extend to all sentient beings, and you embrace and feel compassion or loving kindness to all sentient beings. So you don't stay in the first point. Otherwise, you never grow, because it is easy to feel that to someone who is loved and close one. You start with that. Then you started to expand that, which is a little bit more difficult to feel, but if you train, you will feel it. And then all. Same way when we're training in this guru, root guru, whom we have strong connections and instrument in that way, we can feel the devotions, the faith, trust more easily with that particular teachers, spiritual teachers. But the idea is then to expand to all the teachers, all the spiritual teachers, and to be able to feel same to all other spiritual teachers. Equally, then we feel same level of respect, same level of devotion, same level of faith in all the spiritual guru, whether root guru or not guru, to be able to train to feel that way. But sometimes we get stuck in the first place and we never go beyond that. And this is my root guru, this is my root guru, and we hang on that very strongly, get very attached to that, and not be able to expand that to other teachers, other gurus. But we have to understand this is the starting, because it's easier for that, and then the idea is the theory, the idea, the practice is to then expand to all others teachers, spiritual teachers. So yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you, Geshe. That was beautiful, and practice was beautiful too. Any other questions here? I'm checking online.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh,
Yes, please.
thank you.
And don't feel shy, and please don't feel you look stupid or your question is stupid. There's no question which is stupid.
Thanks, Geshe. Just following on from your last answer. So were you saying that if I have a root guru now, but if I say I meet someone who I feel a very strong connection with, then my root guru can change, or could I have more than one root guru?
You could have more than one guru. Most people try to have one root guru. I personally have 5 root guru. I cannot differentiate among them who is more important, who is less important. From both them, they equally shape me and equally help me in my spiritual path in different ways, from different perspectives, from different paths. But for me, even though maybe some, so again, and of course, so yeah. So I don't think it should be limited just for one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Nina.
Geshe, my question is probably pretty stupid.
Yeah, then I will give a stupid answer. Because I'm good at giving that, so it suits very well.
So I wanted to request that you talk a little bit more about how to see the guru, or maybe in the context of the practice we just did, Lama Tsongkhapa, as one with our own root guru, as one with Manjushri, one with Avalokiteshvara, one with Vajrapani. If you could expand a little bit how to think about it if in context of different views of emptiness, maybe like Lama Tsongkhapa is empty of inherent existence, and how that influences that he's also one with my root guru who also is empty and so on? Or is it more in terms of like bodhisattvas on that Bhumi manifests 1,000 bodies, million bodies. So are they all a manifestation of the Buddha? And if so, then which one, Shakyamuni, or is Shakyamuni also a manifestation? I'm just trying to understand how to contextualize that statement that they are one or manifestations of one.
Well, again, as in this training, we try to see the Guru as the Buddhas, you know. And if the Guru is Buddha, then all the Buddhas in essence they are same. You know, there are different manifestations, but they are same. Avalokiteshvara is essentially not separate from Manjushri. Manjushri is essentially not different from Avalokiteshvara and Vasavani. It's the same enlightened energy in different manifestations. But if you go into the essence, they are the same. It's like the same chocolate with different flavor, you know, or different size, different shape. You know, some people want bigger shape, some want smaller shape. You know, the American ones want large that much. You know, maybe European have this size, and some other countries very small size. You know, yeah, Italy, you know, they have this size. Coffee, America, we need this big, you know. But precisely, it's a coffee, and it could be same coffee, but in a different size because different people want different, you know. In the same way, in essence, the Buddhas are all same essence, the same enlightened essence beings, but again, manifest in different form for different purpose, you know, in that way. So that is generally all. So therefore, but specifically like, and that we do with any deity practice, we try to see the Guru in separate from whatever deities, you know, that we are practicing. Here, there is some historical stories behind this, and also, you know, one, Lama Tsongkhapa is known as the manifestation of Manjushri. There are a lot of prophecies, you know, even yeah, there are some high practitioners, teachers, gurus, who saw Lama Tsongkhapa as Manjushri. They saw that as a Manjushri in terms of that. Also, there were certain dreams in, you know, of his Lama Tsongkhapa's mothers and others practitioners dream of, you know, saying, you know, even with one of his teachers, he dreamed of saying, you know, tomorrow, you know, Manjushri Avalokiteshvara will come visit you. And tomorrow who visited was Lama Tsongkhapa, you know. So like that, there is some stories behind that where how different teachers, different students, including his mother, have different dreams that indicate that he is the of manifestation of Avalokiteshvara, in some manifestation of Manjushri, in some manifestation of Vajrapani, and so forth. So I think that is specifically, that is one reasons among so many deities why those deities were mentioned. That is, there is something to do with that. And also, you know, Lama Tsongkhapa's his understanding, knowledge, wisdom, and his powers are unparalleled, and therefore compared with the Manjushri and Avalokiteshvara, in that in terms of his inner qualities, of those qualities. And for that, I think for that particular purpose, I think that's where we see in that way. Yeah, particularly in that way. So But as I mentioned, in essence, they all are the same, all the Buddhas. And therefore, it's interesting, once Adisha made this comment, which I've shared before, he said, you Tibetans practice so many deities and cannot achieve one. We Indian practice just one deity and achieve 100 deities. And because they are all in essence one, if you achieve one, then you are able to achieve all of them. In essence, they are same, they are one. But sometimes we feel like they are different. So then sometimes I feel like I need to do this one. And sometimes I feel like I need to do this one. Sometimes I feel like, and so then your mind and your devotion, your faith is kind of distracted in different energy all the time. You cannot have one all the time, And that is sometimes we tend to be like that, But in essence, since they are one, then, if you engage in practice sincerely and very strongly one, in the end, you should be able to achieve all of them state, because they all are same in essence.
Thank you, Geshe. So when you speak of the Buddhas being same in essence, could you talk a little bit more about what that essence is or how to think about that? What is the essence?
I think in some other spiritual path, there seems to be some idea of what you call a consciousness power, and then all consciousness going there. It's coming from same consciousness, and at the end going to the same consciousness. Of course, in Buddhism, we don't have bad ideas. But we all come with our different, unique individuals' mind and continuity of the mind. But when you become fully enlightened, then all the mind of enlightenment emerge into one. I think it's Maitreya's ornament of sutra or ornament of realizations, that he give an example of oceans. He mentioned that different streams, rivers come from different sources, different mountain sources. They have their own individual, unique sources from where they come from. They are not coming from the same source. But once they go into the oceans, they all emerge into one. Then you cannot separate this water from that mountain, this water from that mountain, or different sources. They all become one, inseparable, immerse into one. Similarly, when someone achieves fully enlightenment, and the mind of that enlightenment become one, merged with all the other enlightened mind, they all become one. And from that, all enlightened mind that emerge from there, then they can manifest in different form for different purpose and different deity and so forth. So I think that is where in essence they are same. All the Buddhas' mind are same. When they become enlightened, then they become one, just like in the water in the oceans.
Thank you, Geshe.
Yeah.
That was a very smart answer to a stupid question.
Yeah, any questions? We still have time. So I would think you have a lot of questions because I feel this subject is little not easy subjects. I think not necessarily for the Easterners, but for the Westerners. And I think Easterners culturally is more kind of easy. It's more culturally quite a strong influence in that. Yes, please.
Oh, mine's a very simple question. When you
Is it stupid or just simple?
simple. I don't know if it's stupid or not. You can tell me. The image when we look at the image of Lama Tsongkhapa,
Uh-huh.
and they say to the right is
Gyaltsab
Thubten, and to the left is
Kedru
Kedrup.
Rinpoche.
That's from the perspective of Lama Tsongkhapa.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because looking at the picture is like Kedrup J has those wild eyes and the threatening gesture, right?
Kedru Rinpoche is a little bit younger with a white eye and
Yeah. Okay.
sometimes in some description, one eye is looking up, one's kind of down. And Gyaltsab Rinpoche is much more subdued, a little bit elderly, more white. Yeah. So
No, obviously.
Gyaltsab Rinpoche is the right of the Lama Tsongkhapa.
So our left is Gyaltsab Rinpoche.
Here, if you this is this Lama Tsongkhapa on his right is Gyaltsab Rinpoche. Kedru Rinpoche is on his left, and if you see, his eyes a little bit more open, more strong. Yeah, Gyaltsab Rinpoche was a strong defender of Lama Tsongkhapa's view. Gyaltsab Rinpoche was a little bit more subdued. He wasn't kind of strong defender. Kedru Rinpoche, anyone who tried to, debate or try to point Lama Tsongkhapa views, he was always very forthcoming, and he was always ready to kind of defend Lama Tsongkhapa's view and ideas. So he's in the image, he's a little bit kind of presented more kind of strong characters. Gyaltsab Rinpoche more mellow, more subdued, and also I think he's a little elder. Yeah. Any questions? Yes.
I think this really is stupid.
There's no stupid question, as I said from the
Well,
very
it
beginning.
tests that hypothesis.
Yeah.
So we're to take all sentient beings as a Buddha. So the dog is a Buddha. The person that behaves horribly is a Buddha.
Is not fully Buddha, but they have the potential to be Buddha. They all have Buddha nature.
Okay. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we try to see, everyone has that potentials. The
Okay.
Buddha nature, potential be the Buddha. They are not there at the moment. They have the potential to reach there. And sometimes we try to look them in that result and expect in some scientific practice. But at the same time, in reality, they are not there at the moment. They just have the potential.
Okay. So, and you were saying, good, that's much easier than to try to distinguish the difference between my spiritual teacher, the dog, and my enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying earlier that it's when you were talking about how you don't necessarily, the best might not be the best for you. And you said you should look for who inspires you. Can you say more about what you mean when you say inspires?
Yeah, sometimes certain teachers who are more enlightened, but somehow some students have difficult connecting with them. So because they find difficult connecting with them, So they don't get as much inspirations from their talk, their teachings. And then there might be someone who's less kind of enlightened than that person's, but somehow they're able to connect, maybe because of karma and other conditions. And because of that connection, they are able to receive more about the Dharma and to get more inspirations. They become more open to those ideas, and they are more open and more accepting those certain ideas, which maybe the other more enlightened beings somehow is nothing lacking from their side, but it's just there is no karmic connection or something there that didn't really click. And then someone else is able to click that. And that is someone is able to click, not necessarily because they are more enlightened, not necessarily because they are more knowledgeable, even sometimes, but it's because they have certain karmic connection or certain things. And so in that way, the person who hasn't been able to inspire by more enlightened, someone who's a little bit less enlightened, are able to inspire them and lead them in the path and inspire them to really progress in their path. Yeah. Yes, please.
Geshe, I was wondering if you might say something about the term blessings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Blessings is, when it started to rain and when it started to get all the hell on you, this big hell, and when you started to have some, what do you call, bump, that is the blessing. Sorry. But sometimes we feel, because when you do visualizations, we always think that way, blessings, light, nectar comings, entering yourself. And sometimes, because of that kind of visualization image that we use in our visualization, sometimes we feel a little bit like that, But blessings, I think His Holiness Dalai Lama explained, and also some other teachers. Blessings is when your mind is kind of changed and transformed. Before you didn't feel strong faith, inspirations. By doing that practice, or by meeting that teachers or guru, there is something shift in your mind. You started to have small shift, still small transformation, something that open your mind, and that could be sometimes more faith, could be more compassion, could be more patience, could be more contentment, When these things happen, that is what is blessings. That is the sign of receiving blessing. That is sign of being blessed. So it is internal transformations that happen due to that factors in relation to that, during that practice, in relation to that enlightened beings, or that beings due to that encountering that beings, or by receiving their instructions or teachings or advice, or just observing them, something happens in your mind to open your mind and open for those different spiritual awakening, if you can use that word, spiritual awakening in different ways. And when that is the blessing, that is the true blessings. And it is a sign that we have received the blessing when we have that. Yeah. Okay, so then we can do dedications. I think people are ready to go in. So if you go to page number 21, continue. Gyewa di nyo do tam Lama Tsongkhapa Gyo ne Do wa chi kyam ma le pa e sa la kwe pa sho chancho sem cho rinpo che ma ke pa na ke kyu chi ke wa nyam pa me pa ya kong me kong do te wa sho kan re ra we po we shin kan de ten da de wa ma lu chung we de re sen wa tin da be se de pa tu ten gyuro chi. Again, just to remind, when we do the long life prayers, of course we are doing long life prayer with His Holiness, but when you do that, you include all your gurus, even though we might not be doing individually each of those gurus, but in your heart, you feel I'm doing this long life prayer for all the gurus to have long. So then you don't have to do each of them. If you start doing each of them, there will be 20. For me, that will take. So, but you keep in your heart and include them in all that. So that's all the time. Then pray for the return of Lama Tsongkhapa, fearless teacher and assembly of children of victorious one, Savaka and Pratika Buddhas, victorious Losang, father and son, along with the lineage master, all the objects of refuge and infinite land. Please bestow the virtues and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teaching through explanation or practice. You owe the armor of patience that never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of victorious one teaching, the sole gateway through which all benefits and emerge. As for the mud living beings, you suddenly departed to the peace. What a great loss. Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of blessings of ocean of Tirejul and the great waves of Bodhisattva of children of the victorious one, may they smile or reincarnation swiftly beam in the glory for fortunate disciples. Thank you very much. Thank you. So again, we couldn't do the whole practice in total, but again, you can do it at your home when you feel like even with the shorter version, I think we still kind of overran the timing. So, okay. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Good night.